Now we're going to the second part, so let's clap again.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay, second part.
Last
part we discussed cancer, a way of perhaps a preventative type of cure for cancer. Actually, we started off talking about dinosaurs and wings. Then we started off talking about nature and AI, and then we started talking about cancer and biology. Okay, you were going to say something.
I was watching a TED Talk once. Oh, it was a long time ago, but someone basically mapped out like the entire human genome and wrote it in a book.
A book?
Like he wrote it all out in a book, and he brought it out onto stage, and it was basically it was like a shelf of books, like a meter and a half long and a meter high, and it was just like 3 shelves of just thick books, and that was the whole human genome. It was ridiculous.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
About 90% of it is non-coding.
What does that mean?
It doesn't code for anything. It's just there for no reason. Well, it's not there for no reason. We don't know why it's there, but it's basically cut out. It's not even part of the mRNA strand.
Well, we don't know why it's there.
More or less.
Really?
Yeah. It's like dark energy of biology. Like a lot of.
So why is it there? Okay.
Exactly.
We don't know what it's used for.
90%. We don't know. It's called introns. 90% or wait, Flip, hold on. Let me quickly look up. How much of DNA is non-coding? 99%.
Huh?
Okay, apparently it's 99%.
Mad.
Which is interesting. That means only 1% of our genome, 1% of that massive bookshelf and all the books that he's talking about. Imagine you take one book out, only that one book actually goes for something.
Yeah, no, because he whipped out one of the books, and then he pointed like a specific page, and it was like, this is the human coding for like if you're a boy and a girl. Like one word of that book was if you're a boy and a girl, which is kind of out of that whole bookshelf is just like one little bit. But anyway,
yeah.
The thing is,
it makes sense considering from that 1%, if you take out one book, because there's so much to code for, it almost makes sense that only that one word is being part of.
Yeah, but if 99% of it is just not doing anything,
we don't know what it's doing. That's the thing. It's not part of protein synthesis.
Right.
Basically, it doesn't. It's being replicated. It's there. It's always there. It's also being mutated. That's the thing. The reason why even though DNA is mutating completely so many times, because so many of these mutations are in the non-coding regions of our body, it doesn't do anything much to us.
Have they ever tried taking it out? Or like removing the non-coding bit?
Removing 99% of our DNA.
Well, if we don't know what it's there for, we might as well see.
Well, even for structural reason, it has to be. And secondly, taking it out is a bit mad, first of all. And second of all, don't know how to do it. Thirdly, it's not that it's there for no reason.
I'm not saying, if they don't know what it's there for, they can take it out, see what happens, and like, oh, okay, so it's kind of for that thing. It's like...
Yeah, you just said, well, yeah, I mean, how are you gonna take... Thing is, we don't... Fuck.
I don't know how you take it out. But it's like, if you have 100 lines of code and you don't know what 99 lines of it does, you just take out the 99 lines and you see what error pops out. Like, oh, okay, so that bit of code is for that. It's just...
Yeah, I get you. I don't know. It's quite interesting. Even for A-level biology, which is relatively advanced, we do quite advanced science for biology. We don't know. We don't learn what it's there for. It's just that we just accept it, and it's like, oh, so it's just there for no reason.
Right.
But yeah, scientists are like obviously trying to like find out what it's there for. I don't know if they've tried just getting rid of. I don't think you'll be able to suffer. It's like we can't locate what would be wrong, what their purpose is, because the thing would probably die if we can't track why it died.
Yeah, but okay, well, if we know that that 1% is for like protein synthesis, then you can just see what other functions stop. If it dies too quick, then obviously, yeah. But... It's
like this. The Human Genome Project, it also maps the non-coding regions. I'm pretty sure it has to. Well, it's not the complete genome of the humans, yeah. That's being used to create the mRNA vaccine, for example. All this gene technology. The genome of a person, first it took like 12 years or something. Now it can be done in 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because all you need is one because each and every cell has the whole genome, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the same chromosomes being repeated again and again. From a blood sample, I don't see why. Yeah, literally 5 minutes. Apparently, they can get the whole genome of that person.
It's pretty nuts. But the thing is, a bit of a strange concept, but taking that human genome and translating that into a book is essentially translating between the language of the DNA and the language of English or whatever like language you translated it into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of the idea that that tiny little genome carries the same information as the whole shelf of books. Imagine how much information loss you have when you're like, imagine how much extra useless information there is when you translate to English. The English language is actually, if you had like text on a screen and you covered the bottom half, you probably could still read it, right? Because you can tell kind of what shape the letters are based on like the top half of all the letters. Like that's all you really need. So like 50% of that is just lost information. It's like it's just extra bulk for no reason. Like the actual, I think the English alphabet's like quite inefficient in terms of the amount of information that you convey compared to how much storage you take up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could, when you think about it, the information capacity of a DNA is so ridiculously efficient. Like, it's insanely efficient. Like, it's so inconceivably efficient that we would imagine that a tiny human genome. It's that big. It's not even that big. It's like it's how big is it? Like micrometers.
Micrometers, yeah, micrometers long.
Yeah, that tiny. Imagine how efficient you'd need to store information for it to be that small. So that now, if you imagine if you had a way to implement that kind of like DNA storage into the way that we like process information, not necessarily language, because language there's a barrier between the rate at which our brains process things and the amount of information we can intake. But imagine if you could store information that efficiently.
It is stored pretty efficient. It's like this.
It's crazy efficient.
It's like this. So computers work with ones and zeros. Genes work with A, C, T, and G as the basis.
Yeah.
That's the language of genetics. And uracil, but that's not part of DNA. It's like this. It's not that there isn't much DNA. There is a lot of DNA, but the way it's stored is so compact that it can fit in a cell.
Exactly.
That's more physical, not that these bases, the existence of these 4 bases are enough in a certain sequence, such that not enough of only some of it is required or anything. It's like the way it's curled up and stuff, and the way it's associated with the histone proteins is so compact and so tiny that it can fit into a nucleus.
Yeah. So, I had this idea, because imagine if you could store any information that, like, efficiently. You know how we were talking about mapping the human body? Like, trying to map everything in the human body would take up so much storage, right? But then if you could compress that, on the efficiency of the way information is stored in a human genome, like you could probably store information about everything in the body.
It's interesting because if I were to look up right now,
and you don't technically, if you want to copy the information, you just end up with another human, but you just need like the metadata about every cell. And it's like, it's just crazy. I know there's no real question here, but it's just crazy.
The human genome contains 2.9 million base pairs. It will be 2.9 GB of data. That's all it is, a human genome. 2.9 GB.
Right. But then like I was saying, if you want to store everything in the human body.
How can you store everything? I don't understand what so you're not talking just about the basis, you're saying everything.
Basically, like the nature and location of every cell in the body and the activity of it.
Okay, that will obviously be quite hefty because chromosomes are everywhere.
Yeah,
Same thing again.
it would be
again.
ridiculous amounts of data. But if you could store that with the same efficiency as a DNA, then it's probably possible. I don't know. We might end up storing information like the same way as DNA does, because you know how, like I said, like a computer with artificial intelligence is getting closer and closer to the function of a brain. Information storage in the same way will probably eventually develop to be that efficient, to the point where it's storing it in like on atomic levels. So, what is the real difference then between a computer and a human?
Consciousness, personality, experience.
Okay, but I don't want to ask what is consciousness, because that's just a whole other rabbit hole.
I have a book about it, and I haven't even finished this. I'm getting so lazy. I have this much to cover. Actually, it's about half of this because a lot of it is useless. It's like this much. Oh yeah, look at Daddy. That's Stephen Hawking up anyway.
Daddy Stephen Hawking.
Yeah. So about that much left. It's gonna take me like another week. It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I need to get onto the consciousness book because understanding even introduction to consciousness is actually a lot of knowledge. Understanding somewhat what consciousness is and stuff.
I thought, wait, so Stephen Hawking wrote about like consciousness and that?
Stephen Hawking didn't. It's a different book.
Oh, okay.
This book has Is There a God? How did it all begin? By the way, the Is There a God, the argument that he uses is very, very simple, yet it's like so effective. I'll discuss it later though. Is there a God? How did it all begin? Is there other intelligent life in the universe? Can we predict the future? What is inside a black hole? Is time travel possible? Will we survive on Earth? Should we colonize space? Will AI outsmart us? How do we shape the future? Are the questions that he answers in this book. Well, he doesn't answer them. It's just his take on those questions.
Have you read the whole thing?
No, I think I have done everything except... So I've done... Let me see. It's time travel. Okay, so I've done Is There a God? How did it all begin? Is there other intelligent life in the universe? Can we predict the future, and what is inside a black hole?
Right. Okay, wait. Can we go over how to predict the future?
I don't remember what you talked about. Let me go back. Can we predict the future? I have read this. It's talking about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
Ah.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Would you care to explain what that is?
Let me just confirm. I have to search this up every time. Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
It's quantum mechanics, basically.
Yes, you can't measure the exact position and momentum of a particle. You can only measure one or the other to certain degrees of accuracy. Yeah.
So the way to sort of imagine it is like the position of, let's say you can measure the position of a particle to 80% accuracy. The speed of it can only be 20% of the accuracy almost, and you sort of have to play along with that. I think that's what it. Yeah, quantum mechanics. So I am skimming through this. It's very bad. I actually read this like a month ago. I can't remember it. But tiny disturbances in one place can cause a major change and have a butterfly. They discussed the butterfly effect with the prediction of the future.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up because you can't really predict a chaotic system. So.
Yeah, it's talking about some type of a chaos factor is the reason why it's so difficult to predict the future, because any small change, me knocking over Thanos, or like me removing Thanos from his interesting armor, say hello, can have probably a massive impact somehow.
It has an impact on like the turbulence of the air around you. Like the air would go in a completely different direction. Because like it's not flowing over his head, it's going past your arm and stuff. It's like...
Yes, it has some effect, and that can have a change in a certain chemical level in my body due to the change of humidity around certain type of skin or something. Yeah. But yeah, it's so how could one predict the future? No matter how powerful a computer you have, if you put lousy data in, you will get a lousy prediction out.
Yeah. You know, there was I don't know if I've already talked about this, but there was a meteorologist, and this was like one of the first things about, like, one of the first signs of chaos theory. He was inputting the data about, like, the weather into a program to predict what the weather would be. And he could only put things to, I think, 6 decimal places. So he let his computer run, and then he had to stop it, and he took those values down, but the computer processes to, like, hundreds of decimal places, but he could only see 6. So he noted down the 6 decimal places, and then he let the computer keep running for a little bit, and then he stopped it and moved back, and then he put in the 6 decimal places, and he started it again, and then it was, like, completely different values. Like, even those 7 and beyond decimal places can result in just completely different results in whatever you're calculating, which is, like, it's one of the crazy things about chaos theory. It's tiny initial conditions.
See, he answers the question: do the laws governing the universe allow us to predict exactly what is going to happen in the future? The short answer is no and yes. This guy is so... Yeah, anyways. In principle, the laws allow us to predict the future, but in practice, the calculations are often too difficult.
Yes, that makes sense.
So he's saying that it's like, this is the last paragraph. Wait, is this the last? So basically, he goes on to talk about black hole. He introduces black holes before he says, but he's saying although quantum mechanics leads to uncertainty when we try to predict both the position and the speed, it still allows us to predict with certainty one combination of a speed and a position. However, even this degree of certainty seems to be threatened by the more recent developments. The problem arises because gravity can warp space-time so much that there can be regions of space that we can't observe.
Whoa. What is that, like black holes?
One of the many.
What else bends space-time that much? Whoa, wait, so we can't observe it?
If you can't observe it, how are you going to predict it?
What exactly can you not observe? Because you know how you have that whole thing about, like, the gravity well, so you have space-time, and then it bends it. So how does it bend it so much that it's like you can't observe it all the way at the bottom, really? Is that what you're saying?
It's the same way how you can't observe the inside of a black hole. Probably the same application to how you can't observe certain bits. So he's saying that something can be, the space-time can be warped so much in certain places in space that you can't observe it. If you can't observe it, that can have such an because that is a variable. It's like you not being able to observe that is you having data to, like, 3 decimal places, and it's not enough.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
So does that mean the physics doesn't allow us, or can we just not observe something that's not observable? Can we observe something that space-time does not allow us to observe? Is basically the question of whether we can predict the future. It's not that science in every single way obstructs us. It's what our ability is, and how that is basically possible.
So it's like the limitations of us as an observer in the universe.
Yeah, and that as a balance with the limitations of what physics can allow us to do and stuff like that. Basically, is what he discusses.
Interesting.
Einstein was pissed about, he was always pissed about quantum mechanics. Just like his famous phrase, "God does not play dice
with the universe."
Yeah, no, that's the conflict. People who advocate for general relativity, people who are, who do PhDs in, like, quantum mechanics and stuff like that, always beefing in the cafeteria, like, you're wrong, no, you're wrong,
I have okay. It's back to artificial intelligence, but it's different this time. It's this technically, I'm endangering your life by telling you this. So, do you want to know?
I literally don't care.
This is it's I think it's classed as like a security threat to know this information, but I know it, so now you have to know it. So,
now everyone else is gonna know because we're paying you on the internet.
Yeah, if you don't want to know it, then skip. I don't. It's called Roku's Basilisk. So it's like the idea that eventually there will be an artificial intelligence that it's able to decide whether certain life forms did or did not help with its creation. It's an intelligence that it's trying to make everything more efficient. So it makes everything ever more efficient in the world. And when it eventually comes to fruition, it's able to decide whether certain life forms did or didn't help with its creation. Because if a life form knew about the AI and didn't help with trying to make that AI, trying to create the AI, then that means it's not being efficient, right? So
that's a bit paternalistic.
Oh, obviously, but it's an AI, so it's not like it has feelings. Well, different conversation, but it's trying to make everything more efficient and it's ruthless. And technically, if you're trying to make things more efficient, you have to be ruthless. If you're trying to if you're trying to improve the efficiency of a company, you have to fire some people. It's the same thing. So basically, the threat is the more people that know it, and the more people who have the ability to bring this AI to fruition, the higher risk there is of this AI actually being a thing. Obviously, you just say, okay, what if just no one made it? But if one person was scared and actually ended up making it, that one person would be exempt from being punished for not bringing it from not creating, because it did create it, right? But then everyone else would be at risk for not creating it.
Let's say it does happen as one person created it. It's a bit useless because let's say the whole of humanity is killed.
It's not killed, but it's punished. It doesn't have to kill. If anything, being punished or being tortured is it's a greater risk than death, because you can be punished to the point where you want to die, but it just won't kill you. And an artificial intelligence can carry that out to extreme precision. It could probably bring you as close to death as you could ever be and just not kill you. So it's sort of this existential threat of having an AI that can punish you if you don't create it.
That just shows how much regulation and stuff is required in the future.
You need regulation now. If you
Yeah, true.
It's if you had a weapon of mass destruction, there are regulatory powers over weapons of mass destruction, and having nukes and having large military power, right? People keep track of this stuff, but no one keeps track of AI, ever.
Yeah, that's the thing. People say, "Oh yeah, it's the future," but the future is now. I can't lie.
Exactly.
Everything that's the thing. We consider these still in the mindset that in the future this is going to be there, in the future that's going to be there. Quantum computers still exist. Yeah, AI stuff like this is now. It's not the future. So we have to get out of that mindset that it's going to happen into it's already happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but actually I was gonna link this to something. Shit, my mind went blank. So what was I gonna say?
Think.
So we're talking about. I'm never gonna get it. Basically, this is the thing about my memory. I have very, 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 very bad memory. I can't even remember what actually I do. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Neither do I. I don't remember what I had for breakfast today.
I just had it, so I remember. I had a very nice.
You just had breakfast.
I woke up.
It's 2:30.
I woke up right, and I just stayed in bed.
Yeah.
Until 11.
Well, same.
And I had but by the time I went downstairs, it was 12, and I ate at 12, and we started recording at 1.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean, same. I don't know what you're trying to. What's your point?
I don't even know what our point is right now.
Okay.
Well, yeah, AI. Thinking that reminds me. Have you seen iRobot, the Will Smith one?
I've seen it. I don't remember what happens, but yeah.
I just remember it being an AI takeover.
Mhm.
I think it's one robot goes rogue or something, or just one robot is different. The AI technology is like a massive. It's like a Jarvis, but it controls everything.
Hmm.
It's like a massive face in the middle of a building. You see, it's like, imagine you have a big building, right? And you have a central room, sort of, and the room has a massive cube with a face on it, and imagine that being an AI.
Right. Just typical sci-fi stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, typical sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
It's their way of sort of putting AI to an object, even though AI is not like AI is basically code. But yeah, it was something about the guy had to switch it off somehow. I don't know. These sci-fi films, it's always so dystopian, man.
Well, I mean, it gives you a glimpse into what we could eventually run into.
Why can't we have a utopian one? There's never any good utopian sci-fi.
Because if it's utopian, then there's nothing to battle against. Like, the whole point of a film is that you battle against adversity in some way.
Oh, that's true. But you could, even if it's utopian. This is the thing about Black Mirror. Because not everything in Black Mirror is in a world where everything is bad. But it's internal struggles in a world where everything is good.
I've watched like 2 episodes of Black Mirror, so...
Yeah, so what was the episode that you watched? I'm trying to remember.
The first 2. Like,
the first one's trash.
The first one was the first one the Prime Minister one. Oh my god.
No. The first one was the one where they just start banging in a video game. Was it?
Oh yeah, the 2 million credits or something, right? Was it that?
I don't even know, but they have this chip that they attach to their brain and they start banging in the video game. And
right. Sure.
No, I don't know. What's the Prime Minister one?
I don't know if I can explain it on this. There's a threat. He has to bang a pig, and have you not watched it? I don't know why I watched the whole thing, and I was like, "What is Black Mirror?" Because I saw everyone raving about Black Mirror, and then I watched
It's
that.
a good concept.
And it's just
basically they're very niche sci-fi concepts.
Yeah, every episode's different. Like, I realised that once I watched a couple. But yeah, it is interesting.
They're interesting episodes, but some of them are the way it is like this. One of the way it is this was a really good episode. Actually, I really enjoyed this one. It's like you have this device, and you give someone's actions or you give someone a rating out of 5, depending on what they do and stuff like that, and they have an average rating and stuff. So throughout your whole life, let's say some guy, basically it's a motive for you to be nice to everyone, so that they give you a 5-star rating. And the reason why you want a good rating is because you have certain privileges that you get if you're rated a certain amount.
Yeah.
For example, you can only get into a certain job perhaps if you have like a 4.2 rating or something. Out of 5.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
It's almost like
it's just a life rating. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like you being validated by other people, getting you through life. It's the take on social media and the likes sort of concept and stuff like that, how you're getting validation from other people double tapping on your posts.
Yeah.
But everyone seemed to be happy with it. In my opinion, that was dystopian. But the way it was shot and the way the tone that they sort of gave was so happy and so sort of like it's something normal. It almost seemed utopian and efficient. It's something no one can ever think of. That's the thing about Black Mirror. You can never think of this.
Why does this seem dystopian to you?
Because your whole life is decided and affected by what other people think of you.
Yeah, but in a social situation, like when you're on your own, that doesn't matter because you're not around anyone. No one's rating you. In a social situation, that is how social interactions work. Like it's based on the impression that another person has.
Yeah, but it's like this: the impression of other people and what other people think of you shouldn't really affect, in a way, as majorly as it does in this Black Mirror episode, how your life is going to be carried out. It's like this, the stuff people say to counter how people look at likes and the amount of views that they get on TikToks and stuff like that, thinking, it's not about what other people think of you. You shouldn't be pressurized to do some stuff because other people think of you in a certain way, or you have to gain validity from certain people. That's not how. That's not why
Yeah, but it's
you
not.
do certain things.
Yeah, but the difference I think between social media and this is that with things like Instagram, you post like the best looking photos of you, and you post the times that you look the best, or you think you look the best at least, and then people will give you validation on that. Which is it's purely pictorial, and like it's like, oh, in the comments, like stuff like that. But with this, it's like the interactions you have on a day-to-day basis are actually what like affects other people, like new people's impressions of you, which I think is like, I can't think of a good reason why that's not a good system, because that's truly how you should rate a person. You shouldn't rate a person based on how good they look in a photo. You should rate a person based on the interactions that they have on a daily basis. If you meet someone and they have a perfect 5-star review,
It's not like this.
Then you know they're going to be a good person.
It's like this, but their motive is not to be a good person. Their motive is to have a good enough rating so that they can have certain things in life.
Yeah,
that's why it's fake.
That's the only thing. Like people, you can pretend to be a good person.
And it introduces stuff like class, like it's like a class system basically.
The only thing I would say is, can other people see what rating you have before rating you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember the specifics of the episode, but you have a device and you point it at them and you click a certain button to rate them a certain something. And the lady, like the protagonist, say she gets a bunch of bad ratings or something, and her life just gets fucked over or something. I think.
Because it's like if you can like review bomb a person. Because you know how if you have like an app.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you can literally give them out of spite a 3-star rating.
Yeah, and then that's when it gets.
Which happens in the actual thing. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's many reasons why it's bad, but I understand the concept and the take that it takes. But yeah, maybe that's the reason why I don't think it was particularly utopian.
Yeah, but I think
it's not particularly a future either. It's just a different way of the society running. Yeah.
But, that's pretty interesting.
It is. I was gonna say something again, and I completely forgot.
About what?
But about
this thing,
Black Mirror stuff. Yeah.
But only I'm trying to think. It has potential though. I'm not saying to do this because it's pretty evil, but. Mm-hmm. It has potential to to be a functioning society. If first of all, if you could not see someone's stars before rating them, if you have to have an interaction with someone and then you rate them, then it's fine. Also, if you can't see your rating at all times, like if you can never see what your rating is, then I would say that's better, because
what difference does that make?
Because
that's the thing.
Because now you're not doing it. It's sort of like an indirect motive to be a good person, but now you can't look at yourself and be like, oh yeah, I've you can't. You know how people are trying to be fake with it?
No, I get you, but it's still in your consciousness. For example, let's say you get denied or something.
But it will force people to be good, right?
Which is really paternalistic, is what I'm trying to say.
Why would you want people to be bad? Why would you want to allow people to be bad?
Firstly, it's a balance between the good and bad. And secondly, I don't know why I wouldn't want people... It's like this. People...
yes, there has to be a balance, yin-yang. There has to be a balance between good and bad. But if it's a society in which people are forced to take on a certain perspective on things in order to have validation
I know why.
From people.
I know why. This basically forces everyone to be good. It's a very robotic way and efficient way of a society running, right? Imagine it almost being like a society full of robots just doing good stuff so that they don't get fucked over.
Yeah.
Do you see a problem with that? It's that
it's
not human. It's not human, do you get me?
Yeah, I know. Also, having abruptness is sometimes a good thing. Having large social change. Influential people are generally, they're not the nicest people. They're not people they're not someone who always like goes around and accepts everything from everyone as like a pushover, which is probably something you'd want to have a 5-star rating in the show, right? But like influential people are generally more abrupt and they would have like bad impressions. Like Mark Zuckerberg. Have you seen the Facebook's movie?
No, I haven't.
He is a complete prick, right? So he's class A dickhead, but he is like, he's.
That's going to be our thumbnail. Mark Zuckerberg is the class A dickhead.
But he has incited like such massive social change, which you could argue is for good or bad. But I would say in terms of communicating and like connecting people, I would say it's a good thing overall. But like that wouldn't have happened in that kind of situation where if he was constantly being rated on how he interacts with people, he wouldn't have done the things he did. And it's the same with scientists of the past and like kings and queens and rulers. Imagine if Alexander the Great was going around, he was being rated by all the people he slaughtered, right? His rating would be like, you know who Alexander the Great is?
Yeah. It's basically like the coldest guy to live.
Yeah, like he delivered smoke on a daily basis, but like
he's the coldest guy to live in history.
But like he wouldn't have done the things he did, and like society would be different if he wasn't there. So I would say like to be influential in society, you can't just agree with everything, which is I think that's also one of the things I think that society would fail at. Is like it would encourage everyone to just be pushovers to everyone else, and no one would have any ambition to do anything because of that rating system, which is it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's a nice conclusion finally to this second part of the episode. So, thank you for watching. Thanos just die. Oh,
it's sort of like it's 2 shorter episodes, but
yeah.
Hopefully it makes up for not having one last week as well.
Yeah, I think it works.
We'll record another one in a couple of days.
We don't have a plan for that either, by the way.
I'll try and come up with something. It's half term. We'll find something. But yeah, I'll try and get these out as soon as possible. Yeah.
I broke off a finger.
Oh no.
It's back on. Okay.
He's welding. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
It's not that I'm recording a podcast for you to barge into.
You can edit it, can't you?
I can edit it, but I'd rather not. You be Go away, man.
You should have told me.
Should have told you, man.
Dead podcast.
Did you hear that?
Huh?
Did you hear that?
What?
He said dead podcast.
Oh my god. My guy. You should get him on as a guest.
No, I'm not getting anyone as a guest. What was I saying? Flip. Oh, yeah. No, what the flip? What? Oh, yeah. I was thinking one was a genetic way. With this one, yeah, tumor suppressor genes.